In this video, we're going to look at ActivInspire's basic user interface. Now, I'm using ActivInspire Studio. When you install ActivInspire for the first time, you'll be prompted with ActivInspire Studio or ActivInspire Primary. I found that most teachers use ActivInspire Studio, so that's what I'm going to be focusing on. When you open it up for the first time, you're going to see the dashboard box. Now, this gives you access to all kinds of features here we'll talk about. This gives you access to your flip charts, annotation over desktop, which I'll demonstrate in a moment. If you have the Promethean Express Poll clickers, you can get access to them there and you can set up your clickers. This takes you directly to the Promethean Planet website, which I've talked about in another video. This allows you to configure your board and as well as configuring your clickers too. This gives you access to training and support, which are help files, etc., etc. Of course, you can create a new one, a new flip chart, open existing flip charts. And if you have smart notebook files, you can actually import them and convert them into the Promethean Planet program and be able to use them in the ActivInspire program. Alright, if you were finished with your dashboard, you can just close this here. And if you want to get access to it again, you can always go to View and then choose Dashboard, and that'll bring that back up again. So you're never actually without it. Now, to get started, over here on the left-hand side, you have your browser window, and over here on the right, you typically have your floating toolbar. Now, this floating toolbar will stay with you while you're using ActivInspire. To minimize the footprint of the floating toolbar, you can press this button here, and that will actually shrink it. However, you will never be able to delete this floating toolbar. So the floating toolbar gives you quick access to all kinds of features, just like the page browser. The page browser, which gives you access to the different pages you'll be using. As you can see here, this is my blank canvas that I'm working with. If I had additional pages, I would have a box here and a box here. I'll just kind of demonstrate what that looks like. So think of this a lot like a PowerPoint, in that this is your PowerPoint slide, slide 1, slide 2, slide 3. This gives you access to your resources, and again, I talked about in the previous video that you can download extra resources from the Promethean Planet website, and I encourage you to do so. That's where they will go right here, so you can get access to them. So grids, resource packs, sounds, etc. You also have access to the object browser, which gets you into top, middle, bottom layers and background, which we'll talk about a little bit later in some more advanced videos. You have a notes section, which is really handy. As a teacher, you can write some notes that you want to add and include to this actual flip chart, so that if you're sharing this with teachers, they can read the notes, or you can just have handy notes that remind you of some great examples that you used in class. You can post those notes right there within the actual flip chart. This gives you access to property browsers, which allows you to do some fine-tuning with different objects you're working with. The Actions tool gives you the ability to add actions to your flip charts, which we'll talk about in later videos. And of course, your active expression devices. And if you have purchased those or you have them in your classroom, this is how you set those up. Now, if you want to close out your page browser, you can simply do that by pressing the big X over there in the top left corner of the screen. But again, if you want to get it back, don't freak out. You can always go back up here to View and then choose Browsers, and it's always going to come back to you. That's what I found that most teachers end up doing, is they end up closing this out and then they can't find it again. But remember, both Browser and Dashboard are located underneath the View tab. Alright, let's take a look at the floating toolbar. Over here on the left-hand side of the screen, this gives you access to the file menu. Notice that this file menu is the exact same file menu that's up here on the top of my screen. This is perfect for working with smaller students because they are able to access the file menu, especially if your Promethean board is mounted high on the wall. So they can access the file menu and get the same access options that they would if they had to click up here at the very top of the screen, which I think is really smart and handy on their end, on Promethean's end. You also have access to profiles. This allows you to have a different profile for different sections. So if you're teaching multiple classes, you can have a profile for each class. This is your desktop annotate. If you click on this, this will allow you to annotate on your desktop using the pen tool. So I can draw on my desktop, and this is perfect if I have a website that I want to demonstrate a specific concept. I can draw lines on it, and I can move around. I can also use this to erase as well. So this allows you to draw on your desktop. So if I had a web page open or something like that, a document that I wanted to highlight, I could easily annotate on that. Now, to get back to your flip chart, you just simply press that same button again, and it takes you back in. Now, the next button over, this is your desktop tools. I love this button. When you press it, everything disappears except for this little desktop tool icon, which appears in the middle of your screen. Now the reason why I like this is because I can easily transition between the flip chart program and my computer. So I've got the desktop tools kind of running here in the background, and if I want to go to a specific website, I can quickly jump back and forth between my flip chart and my desktop tools. So here we go. I can go in, jump into my flip chart. I can go to annotate on desktop, and now I can talk about specific aspects of this website. So as a teacher, you're going to be bouncing back and forth between the desktop tools and the annotation over desktop if you want to interact with web content. As I mentioned before, if you want to page forward or page back or add new pages to your flip chart, you simply do this by pressing these page forward, page back buttons here. These icons deal with the ActivInspire clicker set. So if you don't have the ActivInspire clicker set, you can ignore these. This is your color palette. This allows you to change your pin color. So you can see right here I can change my pin color, and of course I can add more to that palette as I go through. This allows you to change your pin width. Okay, so it's just the thickness of your pin. You can see that there. You can also use the slider too. That also increases the thickness of the pin. You have your selector tool, which is very important. This allows you to select objects. You have your tools, which gives you access to math tools, camera, spotlight, revealer. And I'll go into those in more depth and detail later. Of course, your pen tool, which is what I've been using, your highlighter tool. So again, I can go back in and I can use my highlighter tool to highlight certain aspects of this web page. So I can highlight documents as I'm going through. You have your eraser, which I've already demonstrated, just erases annotations. And it'll erase things on your annotated desktop as well. Paint bucket, that's of course to fill in with color. You have your shape tool, which allows you to create shapes. When you click on the shape tool over here on the right hand side of the screen, you'll have a object creation window that you can just choose whatever shape you want to create and just click and hold, and you can drag out shapes. You have your line creator, so you can create lines as well. You have resources and media, so this gives you access to videos. If you want to embed the videos into the actual flip chart, you can do that here by clicking the resource and media button. You also have access to the text tool, which allows you to write text. And you have the water bottle, which is one of my favorite features. When you click on the water bottle, you have a few options. For example, you can clear annotations, which these are annotations. Things that I draw are considered annotations. You can clear objects. Objects are things that are predefined. Notice when I clicked on the triangle and I made the triangle, that's considered an object, and that's pretty handy when we talk about objects and annotations in other videos. Clear grid lines, clear background, or just clear the page entirely. So if I clear annotations, it'll just clear off my writing. If I clear objects, it'll clear off just the objects I've created, or I could clear a page, which will clear everything. You have your undo button. You have your reset button, and you have your undo and redo button. You also have a trash can, which is nice. Now this trash can is separate from your computer's trash can, so that you can save things there, and if you need to pull them back out again, you can easily pull them back out, and you don't have to worry about your computer's trash can eliminating them forever. And that's the basic user interface of ActivInspire Software Studio Edition.